have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and I'm just asking questions. And the questions that we're going to be asking today surround AI-driven data centers that are absolutely massive to the point that they are structures that, as a general populace, I don't know that we have ever publicly seen of this size or nature. I'm going to explain why. Yes, we have had massive military facilities, but when you see what the size of this meta-driven, and this is the Zucker nuts over here, ZuckerBro, rebrand. He's got a gold necklace on. He told everybody he's not going to censor anymore. Facebook is cool again. See, Meta was always getting pushed. Meta, Sean Parker, Peter Thiel, all right, all that stuff. And we're going to get into Google as another one of these centers because they all look like a duck. They all quack like a duck, and that's because they're ducks. And what do I mean by that? They're going to be proxies for military and industrial complex programs under this administration as well. And look, I want the golden age too. All right, he's talking about abolishing federal income tax and the IRS altogether again today. I mean, he's really driving it home like it's going to be part of. Well, if the shift is going to be as big as I think it is, that might be just necessary for the overall infrastructure change that we're going to have not only as a country, but a society in short order. We're going to be talking about not only the AI-driven data centers, but how they're supposedly going to be powered, which is nuclear power, a huge shift in the narrative. All right. And then we're also going to get into DeepSeek, this recently released Chinese AI that everybody's talking about and actually really just like devastated NVIDIA's stock today. So, I mean, NVIDIA had been in like a boom climb. And essentially what happened there, we're going to get into more of a description, is you had an AI model come out for free that is superior to a lot of the stuff that people are paying for OpenAI and others. Now, I'm going to tell you how I think that the people at the top are planning on managing that, and that's largely hardware and suppressed technology based. Okay, because they're selling us on narratives. However, just like with any technology, as soon as you get it into the consumer atmosphere, and people are going to do things with it that you didn't foresee. There's always been some type of management with this type of technology. So this is going to be a really heavy episode. I've got 2 videos, I think, alone. We have actually got 4 or 5 altogether, but 2 that are well over 20 minutes that we're going to do a watch along with, at least to some extent. We'll see if I just get too much, because I want to show you what the mainstream is telling you. And then I also want to fill in the blanks, because the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer program also highly integrates into what the establishment, the authoritarians, want to do to create a walled garden so things can't get off the rails too much. And if they start to, they can restrict access, as they have in the past. All right? So, with all that being said, this is going to be a banger of an episode. I need your support. I cannot do it without you. Had a lot of people viewing that Bill Gates video from yesterday. And I want to thank people for sharing that link. Again, $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. The links are down below. Please share the links to this show, and then share the source material, which anybody can check out. A lot of it is going to be over at my X at Jason Bermas. So yeah, this post, for instance, is over at the X, so you can see it yourself. Zuckerberg put this out yesterday, and we're really going to expand upon it. This will be a defining year for AI. In 2025, I expect Meta AI will be the leading assistant serving more than 1 billion people. Llama 4 will become the leading state-of-the-art model and will build an AI engineer that will start contributing increasing amounts of code to our R&D efforts. To power this, Meta is building a 2 gigawatt plus data center. Okay, that is so large, it would cover a significant part of Manhattan. Look below that purple portion of lower Manhattan. And yes, every grid there is a city block. I hope that the gravity and the nature of how large that is not lost on people. All right? Think about how big Madison Square Garden is, or a football stadium. This dwarfs all of it. Okay? So, this is a massive building. All right? I mean, so large, it would cover a significant part of Manhattan. We'll bring online 1 gigawatt of compute in 25. So they think they're going to do this in the year, and I'm going to show you where they're doing this and how really it's being fast-tracked. Just like 4 or 5 months ago, this small little rural town in Louisiana was let known that the Richland Parish Data Center site would be there. Okay? So, and we'll end the year with more than 1.3 million GPUs. That's graphics processing unit. That's huge. And that's the commercial GPUs that we know about. All right? When we're talking about the government and what they're going to do, we have no idea what they're using. We're planning to invest 60 to 65 billion in CAPEX this year, while also growing our AI team significantly. And we have the capital to continue investing in the years ahead. This is a massive effort. And over the coming years, it will drive our core products and businesses, unlock historic innovation, and extend American technology leadership. Now, I want everybody to understand this is just one of the big tech giants that's going to be doing this. You ask yourself why. Musk, all right? Bezos, Altman, Zuckerberg, we're all in the forefront because they're all going to be doing this. It's not just seeking favor. Apple, all of them. And they're going to have to work hand in hand with the government to do it through the Chief AI Officer program. Now, first of all, I want to show you the white paper on the CIA. This is just fresh. It's out of Stanford University. And this explains it all. And this is that walled garden. And once again, we have an AI Gcast. You can't make this up. That's going to explain to what you should know about AI and the federal government. We're going to be watching that. But previously, you just heard me talk about Llama as the meta model. Now remember, Meta very embedded in the World Economic Forum, the metaverse, virtual technologies, etc. Oculus, which is theirs now, that's probably the most prevalent headset out there. Now, we know that in classified settings, large language models have been around since the 90s. And here, Mark Andreessen, who we're going to visit later, makes this revolution. And this clip is very important. He says, someone just got Llama. Now, I don't know if it's Llama 4, but like a Chat GPT-like program that you can talk to that responds to you. And if you've seen what they can do now on Windows 98. Large language models are it's just code. So the hardware could run it. You understand? That's how we've been suppressed. But here, let Andreessen explain this to you.
I mean, here's another like really amazing thing. Somebody got a Llama. Somebody got one of the small versions of Llama to run on Windows 98 on a PC. They booted up literally a Dell desktop computer from I think 1998 with a fresh copy of Windows 98, and they got Llama running on it. And so like all of those old PCs literally could have been smart this whole time. Like, they really could have been. And like we had neural networks, right? And there were lots of people working on AI. But like we could have been talking to our computers in English for like the last, basically almost 30 years.
Think about that. Now in the late 90s, Ray Kurzweil, who's been the face of transhumanism, works with Google, who we'll get to in a while, for a very long time now. He's the one that brings the commercial software that's way behind all that, Dragon, all right, where it's just voice to text. It's not a model that's talking back and forth to you through these networks. You understand? I mean, way past that. And here we are. We literally waited 25 plus years for that to trickle down to us. Why is that? Ask yourself that question, okay? We're going to revisit that question and that walled garden and these white papers and really the announcement of the Central Intelligence Agency of their own data centers that even supersede the involvement, all right? But first, I want to show you this one in particular, okay? So Energy Louisiana to power Meta's data in Richland Parish. Again, this is fresh. It's a couple months old. I'm going to play you the local news clip that first announced this, because think about how physically massive this center actually is.
A rural northern Louisiana parish could be in for a very big change as Facebook's parent company Meta lays the groundwork to build a new data center. Our partners at NOLA.com say state regulators received an application to build that facility in Richland Parish. It's a multi-billion-dollar project that could bring 500 jobs to the area, which has a high poverty rate. And the state is being asked to approve multiple energy projects to power the facility, which could cost over $3 billion. So far, Meta has not commented on the project.
Oh, they commented eventually, because now we're going to start to get into the power sources that they're just going to fast track. Now think about this. We've had to succumb to fluctuating and sometimes crippling energy prices. Nuclear has been demonized, and yet again our military-industrial complex, especially in the realm of the Navy, has utilized nuclear power safely on submarines for a very long time. Again, suppressing technology from the rest of us. But now, since they know that if they want to run certain types of programs, and again, they're going to suppress what is available or possible commercially for us to access these centers, right? All that power. Make no mistake. But right now, still something like, and we'll get into that Chinese program, DeepSeek, but it's not like Sora. So it can't, as far as I know, it doesn't have image generation, right? You can do a lot of the other things, but that's specialized. And that's going to take even more power. But now they're fast-tracking, okay? I want to repeat this. Fast-tracking nuclear energy everywhere. AI goes nuclear. And again, this is in December. They start announcing this. Now, they're going to still try to sell you on your carbon footprint, and I don't think they're going to be sharing this with the rest of us. But to power these centers, here's NPR. They'll get behind it. Artificial intelligence wants to go nuclear. Will it work? Google turns nuclear to power AI data centers. You don't say. You don't say. It's October of this past year. Is nuclear energy the answer to AI data centers' power consumption? Now think about this. They're never concerned about us, human beings, in this country or around the world. It's always it's an energy shortage. All the resources we're short. We don't know what to do. Again, this illustrates how they have totally and completely suppressed technology from the public, and especially for commercial use, for varying reasons of warfare, not only against their foreign state enemies, but against domestic populaces worldwide, period, full stop, absolutely. Now, we're going to play this other Andreessen clip, and then we're going to play Amazon, Microsoft, Google, all of them that have played ball and really been created by the military-industrial complex, in some instances, Google like the most heavy, right in your face. Right in your face. I'll show you that. And it's funny, because we're going to use Google to show you that. Google will admit through its own AI that is indeed the case. Okay? So we're going to play Andreessen here talking about suppressed technologies and what the current programs through like the CAIO program that we're talking about intend to do. Okay, so here's Andreessen.
We had meetings in D.C. in May where we talked to them about this, and the meetings were absolutely horrifying, and we came out basically deciding we had to endorse Trump.
What did you hear in those meetings?
AI is a technology basically that the government is going to completely control. This is not going to be a startup thing. They actually said flat out to us, don't do AI startups. Like don't fund AI startups. It's not something that we're going to allow to happen. They're not going to be allowed to exist. There's no point. They basically said AI is going to be a game of 2 or 3 big companies working closely with the government, and we're going to basically wrap them in a, I'm paraphrasing, but we're going to basically wrap them in a government cocoon. We're going to protect them from competition. We're going to control them, and we're going to dictate what they do. And then I said, I don't understand how you're going to lock this down so much, because like the math for, AI is like out there and it's being taught everywhere. And, they literally said, during the Cold War, we classified entire areas of physics and took them out of the research community, and like entire branches of physics basically went dark and didn't proceed. And that if we decide we need to, we're going to do the same thing to the math underneath AI.
Wow.
And I said, I've just learned 2 very important things. Because I wasn't aware of the former, and I wasn't aware that you were, even conceiving of doing it to the latter.
Cold War, post-World War II, in the 50s. 70 plus years of them managing this technology. And now, again, I want to reiterate the fact that Google will tell you, and you need to understand this right here. It's right here. You just I just typed in Google and NASA and DARPA in the beginning. The AI overview will tell you right now, in the early days of Google, the company's founding research, let me repeat that. Their founding research, the very beginning, was partially funded by a grant from the National Science Foundation, NSF, which was part of a collaborative project with NASA and DARPA called the Digital Library Initiative, allowing Stanford graduate students Larry Page and Sergey Brin to develop the core technology behind Google's search engine by analyzing web links as ranking methods. Essentially, the early stages of Google were indirectly supported by both NASA and DARPA through the NSF grant program. And the internet itself was the ARPANET created by DARPA. And the reason we talk about NASA all the time is because they are heavily involved in all of this. And guess what looks like Stanford University? There they are again. Hey, look who wrote this white paper. Stanford University. Hey, remember when we were talking about that marshmallow experiment with who would be the head? I guess Brin was also a part of that, but Susan Wojcicki, Stanford University. It's just so weird. It's weird. By the way, we got 100 people watching. Can we get 50 plus thumbs up? Huh? Can you let people know about the broadcast? And once again, if you can support me, the links are down below. There also is a PayPal link. I got to get some crypto links down there as well. But I mean, all that's right in your face. So do you think, again, that we're going to the moon and Mars, or do you think that NASA and DARPA are heavily involved in all sorts of information technology and then dark technologies that we're not allowed to even know exist. But we do know nuclear power exists, and now they're going to, again, steamroll it for the commercialized AI data centers that they're going to put out there. All right? And don't take my word for it. It's a piece from about a month ago from MSNBC that we're going to jump in here and there.
A ChatGPT query uses about 10 times as much electricity as a Google search. That difference is the catalyst for a new era of energy consumption, one where our evolving technology demands are now reshaping how the US and the world power our future.
Nuclear energy at a turning point, seeing momentum as power demand jumps from electrification to data centers.
Nuclear power and technology, or big tech getting involved in it. Nuclear power has sort of gotten back into the conversation.
We're going to be way ahead of AI, and we've got to produce tremendous amounts of electricity.
We're in the midst of a nuclear renaissance right now, and that's because power demand is meaningfully rising for the first time in a few decades. And at the moment, we just don't have enough clean energy options to meet that power demand from things like reshoring, electrification, as well as data centers.
Let me just stop. That's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. You think about the third world. All right, you think about even the second world. You think about the devolving infrastructure in this country. You think about the price. The demand has gone up exponentially in the last 5+ decades globally. Exponentially. The demand is not new now. The premises they sell you on are Johnny frickin' nonsense. Period. Let me continue.
This is why big tech is betting on nuclear power. Data centers around the world, built by tech giants like Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and Google, are hungry, not just for AI training sets, but for energy. Artificial intelligence, driven by massive computing power, is reshaping not only how we work, but also how we think about energy consumption.
What AI did is it escalated the power demand at individual data centers by a factor of 10, or even 100 if we're looking forward into the future. That means those are data centers that are needing power along the same scale as entire cities.
The Department of Energy estimates global electricity demand could rise from 1/3 to 3/4 by 2050, with the U.S. energy grid seeing an unprecedented strain. Data centers powering artificial intelligence and cloud computing will be among the biggest contributors to this growing demand. Energy use was already slowly ticking up, but oil and gas prices skyrocketed as energy powerhouse Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, and
Let me just stop that. It's always ticking up. I mean, the things that come out of the mouths of these media muppets is insane. All right. Let's look at Iran. Supposedly, we have done everything we possibly could to make sure that they can't make a nuclear weapon or utilize nuclear power. But now, in the very near future, we're going to utilize fourth, maybe fifth general. Let's type it in. I don't want to be wrong anymore. I just want to, we'll have Google tell me. What generation nuclear power are we on? Power. We'll just do that live.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
We are on Generation 4 reactors. Okay, we are on Generation 4 nuclear reactors right now. Okay? And this thing is going to be heavily rolled out. You're telling me over the last 2+ decades, we couldn't have at least built some of that infrastructure in the nation states that we are militarily aligned with or occupying? No, absolutely not. Nope. Couldn't do that. But we sure can do it for multinational corporations doing business everywhere, right? Partnered with our military industrial complex.
Political volatility was on the rise.
That's really when these dialogues started to happen again in earnest. The idea of what does energy security, what does energy independence mean? And that's when we saw countries start to look at nuclear once again.
As OpenAI introduced ChatGPT to the masses in November 2022, the buzz and investment around large language models put the US on a path to an AI future and the energy demands that come with it.
It wasn't the tech companies' problem to understand how electricity worked. They knew that they could build a data center, plug into the grid, and there was enough power. And then their marketing people made sure that they had enough renewable energy credits to claim that they're actually using renewables to power their data center.
And so
it also played into the scam. And look, one of the good things about this Trump administration is hopefully we're not playing into that scam, right? That the whole carbon credit system, what he just announced, the WEF, I think that is a net positive. Getting out of the WHO is a positive thing. We have to take the good with the bad. I don't think that Trump is totally controlled. I don't think he's a super villain. I actually think this time around, he's done a lot more than when he came in 2016. And I thought that he was going to be Superman and just didn't realize what was really going down. I mean, he still has his blind spots, far from perfect. We could get into Stargate. Knocking it out of the park on some of these issues, especially exposing this idea of that scam. But at the same time, how else do you put this into place in a rapid fashion, okay, without the public just going wild, saying, what's going on here?
really right now, everyone is trying to play catch up of how are we going to meet all of these power demand goals as well as reduce our emissions. And so that's where nuclear comes into the picture. Solar and wind are great, but they're intermittent resources. That means that it's not always sunny, it's not always windy, so they aren't 24/7. And what nuclear is it's 24/7 baseload emissions-free energy.
First of all, there's no such thing
tech
as
companies
emissions-free.
are leading
Let me just say that right now. There's no such thing as emissions-free. Is it lower than the traditional oil and gas if we're talking about carbon, which in my opinion is asinine and ludicrous to even measure? Yes. But net zero, all that's nonsense. Listen, let me just give you an idea. Emission-free. There are going to be, no matter how automated it eventually gets, human beings in the plant. Now, we all know human beings are bad because we have a carbon footprint, because we emit carbon. Therefore, just to run the plant, the idea it's zero carbon, it's just the language again used by the establishment really bothers me. The talking points really bother me because they spit in the face of, objective reality time and time again.
Charge. Just last spring, Amazon agreed to a nuclear power purchase agreement with Talon Energy in Pennsylvania and bought the adjacent data center from Talon for $650 million. Now, Amazon is investing over $500 million into a number of nuclear power projects ranging from Virginia to Washington State. Microsoft is working with Constellation Energy to reopen the 3 Mile Island nuclear facility with plans for $1.5 billion in upgrades there. Meanwhile, Bill Gates founded TerraPower is also working on a plant in Wyoming. Then there's Google, who's working with startup Kairos Power to bring advanced reactors online in the next decade, though no dollar amounts have been announced for those investments yet. Meta also says it's looking into nuclear power, targeting 1 to 4 gigawatts in new energy capacity.
And is now no longer looking into it, but doing it. And you notice how Gates is even involved. Talk about green news scammage. Huh? Are we starting to see this? We're starting to get it?
These investments and partnerships are becoming an industry-wide trend, all driven by a shared belief. Nuclear is the only solution.
The tech companies have a vision of the world based on AI. That world is only possible if they produce a large amount of clean, steady power. That's why their work into nuclear now is fundamental to whether their entire world vision can come true.
These are existing and retired nuclear sites in the US with space for new reactors. The next step in the sustainable transition is to design, build, and bring those new reactors online alongside the existing ones. Enter SMRs, or small modular reactors. Unlike traditional reactors, SMRs are smaller, faster to build, and more cost-effective. They produce around 300 megawatts of energy compared to the typical 1 gigawatt output of traditional plants, and their modular designs allow for off-site assembly, reducing construction costs and build timelines. Tech and energy companies are working to bring several of these reactors online over the next decade as incremental steps toward a broader energy transformation.
You can assemble them at a factory and then bring them to the site for the final assembly versus having to build it from scratch on the location. And so that's what's traditionally been done with commercial reactors, and that's why they've often been very expensive.
Now think about that. So these are modular and mobile. And we saw the size, the massive size, and the rural nature of where these data centers are going to be. I mean, they're huge. Go walk that map in Manhattan. See how huge it is. All right? They're building like many cities as one building. And who knows how tall it's going to be. It's going to be at least, 5, 10, maybe more stories high. How low will the basement go? And then you're going to have these on-site modular reactors. Now, there's another aspect to this that really needs to be discussed. They're putting them in rural areas because while they tell you that we're overpopulated and we're so damn dense, even in the United States, we're not even close to overpopulated. There are plenty of rural areas to put this in. All right, and they're going to do so. They'll be on the outskirts of, suburban regions and probably be in, 60 to 90 miles away from really like the big city areas of those populaces. But out here in the Midwest, those are much smaller in most instances. You're going to have to see them everywhere, though, depending on where they put the centers. And you saw which companies are going to get there. Okay, let's continue.
And so there's a lot of hope that with these smaller modular reactors that are about 300 megawatts or even micro reactors, which can be tens of megawatts, that could kind of address some of the issues of these cost overruns.
SMRs don't operate much differently than traditional reactors, but the efficiency gains they do offer will be important for intermittently scaling our energy future.
Obviously, there's a role to build still some of these plants, but small kind of scales more naturally with how demand growth goes, especially when you look at the AI side and data center space. A lot of sweet spots are in the couple hundred megawatts in terms of total usage, but those are building up in dozens of megawatt chunks per time. So they themselves are modular. So the smaller plants really can match that growth more organically.
While SMRs hold promise, they're still a few years away. All plans in the US are currently slated to open in 2030 and beyond. Right now, there are no SMRs operational in the US, and regulatory approval will remain a challenge for years to come. There are also
I don't know how much that regulatory approval is going to be, and that's where we're going to jump in right now. If you you can go find the rest of that if you want to watch the raw video, into the Chief AI Officer program, okay, that already has this walled garden. You can read the whole full white paper here. Like you click-a-roo. All right, 43 pages, really nice. Get the PDF. In fact, we're going to download it. We're going to download it right here. Little savey. Boom, we got that. It's good. But this was announced today. CIA Director, Trump administration considering national laboratory for artificial intelligence like the Manhattan Project. We got dueling Manhattans here. We got a data center almost the size of Manhattan. Look at the footprint over it. It's massive. And now we got another little Manhattan Project. Well, I got news for you. We're still talking about nuclear power in the sense that it's highly walled off, just like those physics. What, 80 years later? Is that a good thing? Has that been a good thing for humanity? Look, you might think that Trump is benevolent, but all of these things still scream of military-industrial complex, compartmentalization, and control. All right? And that's why this whole Chief AI Officer program, we're going to watch a little bit of this video right here.
Everyone in government is talking about AI.
AI is all around us.
With AI technologies,
so-called artificial general intelligence.
AI. Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
AI use.
Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence.
Of course, artificial intelligence.
Our new series AI Govcast gets into the depths of what government is doing with artificial intelligence and how the newly mandated Chief AI Officer role will lead those efforts. We will interview Chief Artificial Intelligence Officers across government about what they do, what kind of agency-specific challenges that they've seen, and how they're integrating AI into their agency's operations.
I should have gotten somebody to do this guy's webcam a little bit better. But again, this is how out of touch the bureaucracy is. You know, don't get me wrong, at least the WEF had the slick graphics and the editing. And look, the editing is not terrible here. But the fact they let this guy get away with this camera is ridiculous. I'm sorry, I'm knocking him. I look at some of my older videos and the camera's not great either, but come on. It's 2025, friend. Let's get the thumbs up. Let's get to 100 thumbs. Let's subscribe, share. Remember, the links are down below to support the broadcast. All the docs are free. Let's keep going on.
For the past couple of years, fears of AI have been coupled with hopes for innovation and hopes for the future. In government, AI's momentum picked up with President Joe Biden's AI executive order in October 2023. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman spoke to the Senate Judiciary Committee about the technology earlier this year.
There will be an impact on jobs. We try to be very clear about that, and I think it will require partnership between the industry and government, but mostly action by government to figure out how we want to mitigate that.
Now, think about that too with the impact on jobs. When we're talking about jobs that are automated out, yes, the price to run the machinery may be less than a human being. But when you're talking about these AI models, again, traditionally what you would have had to pay for electricity, unless you're using technology the rest of us don't get to have, it'd be way more expensive. You understand how they want to do this?
The administration wants to steer AI development in a way that benefits global society, encourages innovation, and is safe for everybody. The executive order lays out a series of goals to establish government as responsible users of AI and as leaders in AI, as Vice President Kamala Harris, President Joe Biden, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken have all highlighted recently.
Yeah, the talking point is that you need to be protected from this, and who better to do it than a corrupt government?
We want to know from your perspective, how will the various people in our country be impacted by this issue, which is the issue of how AI will affect their lives in a variety of ways, whether it be through the life that they live as a senior and what their strengths may be, but also their vulnerabilities, through the lens of workers and what this means in terms of their work life and the protections and the rights that they are entitled to.
And that's why we have this intense focus on artificial intelligence, other technologies that are going to be shaping that future. We have to make generational investments and generational decisions here at home, including in our technological competitiveness. That's essential to making sure that we remain the standard setters.
The government remains the standard setters. Now, here's the problem with that. Let's talk about it. So, with something like DeepSeek, all right, let's go right here. I think that this. Let's see if the video goes along. What is DeepSeek? And the video, it wasn't a slump. I mean, it got massacred today.
Good evening. I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. And the aftershocks were felt from Washington to Wall Street and Silicon Valley. Signs that China may be catching up to the United States in the AI race sent tech stocks plunging.
A Chinese startup called DeepSeek has created an AI model at a much lower cost than the U.S. competition. Its AI assistant was today Apple's most downloaded app, surpassing the AI app ChatGPT and Threads, a social media app.
California-based NVIDIA, which makes the chips that power AI, lost nearly $600 billion in market value, the biggest one-day loss by a company ever. AI will be a growing part of our lives in medicine, transportation, education, and beyond.
It's being called a Sputnik moment for America's AI industry. That's a reference to the panic in the U.S. when the Soviets leaped ahead in the space race in the 1950s.
And all of a sudden, ARPA was born. Look, I think there's some hype around this, right? But I do think they want to wall off certain amounts of the consumer stuff. And with these algorithms And with the right programming, it's going to take less and less power to do more and more. And you're going to be able to do them from devices that don't necessarily have to be hooked up to a cloud. Okay? So it is going to be interesting to see how far the commercial stuff goes. Because once the genie is out of the bottle, it's out of the bottle. But we are about to go through a post-truth world time where deep fakes, general media, you can't believe your eyes or your ears already. It's over. It's over. But now it's going to be accelerated to the point where you're also going to be not knowing if you're talking to another human being on the phone. All right, people having relationships with their chatbots or AI-driven software. I think, again, the walling off is mostly going to be in the technology and the hardware that runs it. But hey, what do I know? I'm not that smart. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Again, the links are down below, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Once again, I want to thank everybody who has contributed. Jungles, Hillary, Tiffany, Christine, Dusaxon, and so many others. Give me a follow on X. Come to X, and you'll see so much more that we don't even get to. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube and not one of the alt platforms, I was on the Union of the Unwanted for almost 90 minutes today. Talked about a lot of the issues we talked about here and then many more, though it's exclusively available at X or Rumble or Rockfin. There were discussions that go beyond the realm of YouTube. And not only do we want to get a little strikey, we're trying to get remonetized. We're trying to be able to, compete in a DARPA, NASA-driven creation. Again, let me reiterate that. Google will tell you again that its founding research was a part of a NASA DARPA program. No big deal. So I'm punching up here, guys, and I couldn't do it without you. It is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I absolutely love you, and we'll see you on the flip side.